Hi, folks at Courtyard Church of Christ. Good to see you, in a sense. I'm Clay Boyd. Used to be known as Reverend Clay Boyd. And I guess I still am. Once a reverend, always a reverend, they say, if you're ordained. But I haven't preached for a while. Been a couple, 3 years now. Last place I preached was over at First Christian Church there in town. But I'm choosing a different life now. As you may know, I'm a trucker. I travel across the country. As I speak to you now, I'm in Boise, Idaho. And after they finish putting this load on, I'll be taking it to Buffalo, New York, over 2,200 miles. So it's quite a ways. I'm a Virginian native, and I like Virginia. It's kind of my home state. On the other hand, my family is actually from North Carolina. We have a land grant from King George or King somebody dated back to 1701 and first settled around Bath, North Carolina. There's actually a church there. If you go there, ever going through Bath, one of the oldest churches in America is in Bath. It was a Church of England. Now, of course, it's Episcopalian. Still there. Built in 1732. And you'll see on a plaque on the outside wall that one of the three people who built it was a guy named Thomas Boyd, one of my ancestors. Supposedly, we are connected with the Boyd family in Scotland. They came to a rather egregious end to some extent a few years after the 1701 incident. In 1746, I believe the date was, some of the Scots decided to rebel against the king, which, by the way, a little trivia in history here, was a Scot himself at one point, and was descended from the Scots. James I, who you may know from the King James Bible, was actually King James VI of Scotland. He succeeded his cousin Elizabeth, since something happened to Mary, his mom. And so James VI became James I of England. So he ruled both kingdoms. So from that point on, the Scottish kings were, or the English kings were part Scottish as well. And that would include our present royal family, which is why they vacation in Balmoral, which is in Scotland. Enough of that. But in 1746, the Bonnie Prince Charlie and his minions rebelled against England, and that didn't go so well for them. And the 4th Earl of Kilmarnock, William Boyd, lost his head over that one down at the Tower of London. And again, there's a plaque for that effect too, at the tower. But I have no idea whether I'm really related to that group of folks or not, but they are Boyds. The current Lord of Kilmarnock is a Boyd. So I have some ties to Scotland, which is why my email address is Kilmarnock. So that's a little trivia about myself. A few other things you might note. I was in the Navy for a good long while. I was an intelligence guy, and was a private investigator after that a couple of times. I've also got a pilot's license, and a scuba diving license, and who knows what other kind of things. When you get to be my age, you get all these bucket list items done at one point or another. But I have never been married, so if you know any eligible ladies, turn them my way. And don't have any kids. I've had foster kids. I've had Jewel. Jewel is kind of an adopted granddaughter kind of person. And she's the one who just had a baby not long ago. So I'd like you to keep me in prayer for the next month. As I said, I'm a trucker. Trucking isn't always safe. Watch videos on YouTube and learn that yourself. A lot of time, the more time you spend on the road, I think the more dangerous things can be one way or another. It's not always something you do. I mean, you can fall asleep, you can make a mistake and cause an accident, but there's always the other guy out on the road too. You've got to be watchful of everybody, as well as the weather. Thankfully, it's no longer snowing, raining, well, not snowing or icing anywhere that I know of, so it's hopefully the weather is going to be nice for this summer. But keep me in your prayers, because it can be dangerous. Also keep me in your prayers for my faith journey. The church and I have not always gotten along very well. I tend to be a little on the liberal side sometimes. I won't go into my theology here, but that causes some friction sometimes with more conservative elements in churches. I think we all have a valid place in the world, and I try to honor all beliefs. Hopefully you do as well. Though most of us are convinced that we're right. And the other guy's wrong, but I try not to sway that way too much, because I don't know the answers. I won't know the answers until I meet the King at the gates. So as I struggle with my faith, which has always been a struggle, I guess, Paul made the statement, "Lord, I believe, help my unbelief." And I think if we're honest with ourselves, we all believe, and yet there's some doubts too. So I struggle with the balance between those two. So keep me in your prayers for that. Keep my health in your prayers. I'm no longer young, and it's always nice to have good health through the blessings of God.